In a land where honor was law and power was bought with the blade, Japan stood on the edge of unrelenting chaos. Feudal lords, daimyo, warred for centuries, splintering the islands into fractured fiefdom soaked in blood. But from this darkness rose a vision, a centralized power, stable, immovable, fine. The age of the Tokugawa began. An absolutist monarch rose across Europe. Louis XIV in France, Peter the Great in Russia. Japan, too, moved towards centralized power. But unlike the West, Japan turned inward. Its consolidation would not come through conquest abroad, through isolation at home. In the late 1500s, Japan was embroiled in the Sengoku period, a time of social upheaval, political intrigue, and near constant military conflict. Samurai clashed under warlords like Oda and Toyotomi, paving the way for Tokugawa Ieyasu. In 1600, pivotal battle of Sekigahara, Ieyasu crushed his rivals. 3 years later, he was appointed shogun by the emperor. It was the beginning of the Edo period, a new era of order. This was no mere title. It was the iron fist of central rule. Ieyasu began dismantling the power of rival daimyo. The Tokugawa Baku military government relied on strict hierarchy and total loyalty. The Acts of Seclusion closed Japan's borders, banning missionaries. Christian missionaries were expelled, and foreign trade limited to select Dutch and Chinese merchants in Nagasaki. Power was precisely structured. 4 rigid social classes: samurai, farmer, artisans, and merchants, each with a role, each under control. Mobility was rare, and obedience was absolute. Tokugawa power, absolute, but fragile. Religion, once a tool of unification, now threatened this order. Christianity, by Portuguese and Spanish missionaries, was banned after the Shimabara Rebellion, a bloody uprising, partly fueled by Christian converts. Its followers were hunted, crucified, or forced to renounce their faith. Crosses and churches were demolished. In its place, the shogunate elevated Neo-Confucianism and state-approved Buddhism. Loyalty to Lord, obedience to Father, reverence for hierarchy, these were not just virtues, they were law. The Tokugawa state dictated belief as well as behavior. Economically, the Tokugawa regime forged a durable peace. Cultural innovations boosted rice yield. Local daimyo oversaw production and taxed heavily to support the central regime. Markets emerged across Kasuta and Edo. Modern-day Tokyo ballooned over a million people, making it one of the largest cities in the world. The second koitai system required daimyo to alternate years between their domains and Edo, keeping their families effectively as hostages. Roads like the Tokaido were constructed to facilitate travel and trade. But peace had a price. Samurai, no longer warriors, became civil administrators. Their stipends didn't match merchant wealth, creating class resentment. Merchants, officially spies, rose in power through trade and banking. Social order frayed at its rigid edges. Though legally higher than merchants, bore the burden of heavy taxation. Rebellion and riots, the Oshida Hiyacharu uprising, 1837, signaled the growing unrest. Beneath the silence of order, a storm gathered. By the mid-18th century, cracks widened. Successive famines, such as the Great Tenmei famine of the 1780s, crippled rural communities. Grain shortages led to desperation, uprising, question of Tokugawa competence. Then came the West. In 1953, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States arrived with steam-powered black ships, demanding an end to Japan's seclusion. The shogunate, under pressure, signed unequal treaties, including the Treaty of Kanagawa. These treaties gave foreign powers trading rights and diplomatic immunity, embarrassing the once mighty regime. The discontent exploded. Peasants alike rallied around a new cry: Sonyo Joi, revere the emperor, and expelled barbarians. The shogunate, already weakened, could not withstand the coming storm. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration swept through. The shogun resigned, power was returned to the emperor, a symbolic figure that turned real ruler. Japan had abandoned feudalism, embraced modernization, and launched industrial reforms inspired by the Western influences. The Tokugawa period had ended, but its imprint endured. The centralization of power, the infrastructure, the social discipline, it all laid the groundwork for Japan's rise. By 1905, Japan had defeated the Russian Empire in the Russo-Japanese War, stunning the world. A once isolated nation had become a global power. After the fall, the Tokugawa period. The Tokugawa Shogunate, a dynasty of sword and stone, reshaped Japan with the brushstroke of an iron rule. It brought centuries of peace at the cost of many's freedom. But in the stillness it forged, a nation, a global power, prepared to rise.